Today I'd like to talk to you about reading notebooks, an approach to upper-level reading instruction. So I've got three parts. First, how this started. Second, what it is, and last, how it shapes our class. So this started when I was first assigned to teach upper-level reading, and I was trying to figure out the most beneficial homework to have students do. And I was a literature major in undergrad, so I read all the time and I took lots of notes while I was reading. So to me, this just seemed like a logical homework choice. And of course, this might seem a bit obvious. We all agree that note-taking is a good idea. However, what started as a small homework assignment really grew and ended up to really structure and be something our class centers around. So what it is, I asked students to purchase a one-subject notebook that they will use only for reading class. All work that they do in class and at home is completed in the notebook. And like I mentioned, the main idea is students take notes while they read, but I have a few requirements for how to take notes. I have them draw a line down the center of their paper. On the one side, they keep track of questions/notes. That means, what questions did you have about the text? What did you find confusing? What did you not understand? And also, things that you think are important, details you want to remember later. And then on the other side, they write reflections. So opinions they have, critical thoughts. Or this could also be discussion questions that we could talk about in class. I also ask them to keep it organized with headings. Page numbers are very important. And last, they have to answer comprehension or critical thinking questions in addition to taking notes with each reading. So at the beginning of the semester, when we're talking about all these requirements, I really communicate to students that this notebook is something useful for them. I really want them to learn that this is a tool that will help them in class and that they can take with them to other classes, not just a homework assignment to do and then get 5 points for. So I emphasize that this can help you keep track of your ideas, keep track of important details, and help you to contribute to class. So there are several ways that the notebook shapes what we do in class. The first way is it kicks off our discussion. So every time we've had a new reading, I start with a slide like this, and it has the 2 columns to remind them how they're supposed to take notes. And I say, okay, get out your reading notebooks. And then I wait for everyone to get them out. And I say, tell me something that you wrote down. What did you think was interesting? What questions do you have? And then I wait. I'm very comfortable with the uncomfortable silence. And then if no one offers anything, I call on someone. In fact, I call on several people. So by the end of the first week or so, the students start to realize, oh, she's serious about this notebook thing. Okay, I have to be prepared. So they know I'm going to ask them to share, and they get better and better at it. And one of the things I really like about this is that it brings the students' perspective to the discussion. Oftentimes they will point things out in the reading that I hadn't even noticed. So I feel like it makes our class discussion really more interesting, more dynamic. Another way that this structures our class is students will naturally refer to their notes. So after they've kind of gotten used to me encouraging and really making them use it, they start to use it more on their own. So they already have the notebook open in front of them. As we continue with the class, it's natural for them to use it. So for example, if someone mentions something that happened in the book, I'll say, oh, that's great. What page is that on? And then I'll have more than one student flipping in their notebook to find the page. And then once we found it, we open the text and we read from it. So I love that it brings us back to the text. We also use it for other in-class activities. Basically anything they have to write down, I have them use their notebooks. One example, in reading class we talk about theme. So this is the kind of thing you might do in any class, but it's the continuing to encourage them to use their notebooks because I want them to see how it's useful for them, not just something I'm making them do. So I'll have them take out your notebooks and write down this definition. And I found that when I really, encourage them to do this, on the test or quiz later, more of them will have my definition of theme. And I love this because it shows that they are using their notebooks to study, which is exactly what I want them to learn. Another example, we'll do discussion stations around the room. So again, I just encourage them to use your notebook, take it with you. I want them to see that the thoughts that they have while they read and that they keep track of, they can bring up and use again in class. And last, we write paragraphs a lot in reading class, so I have them write the paragraph in their notebook. And I love that when I do this, nothing that the students do is lost. For example, I can't tell you how many times I've had students complete an activity and then when they all leave the classroom, they just leave their paper. Or I know that the paper gets lost in their backpack. But when it's in the notebook, it's always there. They can't lose it. And they'll have to write a paragraph like this on their test. So when they're studying, I can say, look back at your paragraph from last week. What comments did I give you? Make these improvements on your test. And last, they can use their notebooks for bigger assignments. So for example, they have to write an essay. And to write a good essay, you need strong examples to support your idea. But after you've read a really long book, it's hard to remember everything that happened or where things happened. But if you have it all kind of kept track of and you have your ideas kept track of, it's much easier to do. So as I've been talking, I've shared about some benefits, so I'll highlight some of them again now. One, students actually use their notebooks and they use them on their own without me kind of making them. Two, it communicates that everything we do matters. Whether it's an in-class activity or something they've written at home, nothing's lost, it's all important. Also, I found that students respond really positively. I've had students like to use different colors in their notebook, or they decorate the front with stickers or personalize it. And so anytime I see students getting excited about something we're doing in class, I feel like that means that we're doing something right. And also I feel like students really open up and it gives them a good space for critical thinking. I'm not saying that this is the only way you can get students to think critically, of course not, but I do think the notebook is a good space for that. And last, as a teacher, I can see their progress more easily. For example, if I grade a stack of 20 papers and then hand them back, and then a couple days later I grade another stack and hand them back, it's hard for me to remember how the students are progressing. But if I have their notebook, I can flip back and see, oh yeah, I've made this comment to him before. So I can give them better advice and help them to improve more. So there you have it. That's my reading notebooks and how I use them in class. I hope that you found this interesting and maybe you'd like to give it a try.